Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today Chris and I are going to be talking about knee valgus and why your knees touch together when you're squatting. So the first thing we're going to look at is what it actually is and what it looks like. So I'm going to get Chris to do a couple of squats here and show you guys what it looks like. So if you imagine that you're facing in front here, Chris is going to come down to the bottom of the squat, and then as he comes out, his knees slap together. So rather than feeling like they can push fully down to the ground, they're going to try and come in like there's magnets on each other and being dragged towards themselves. So this isn't inherently bad by any means. We see some of the best athletes in the world do this, weightlifters really come to mind. And we just want to talk today about why it actually happens, and just so you guys can understand why and when to use it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is what it looks like from the side with a barbell. So if Chris does a squat here and he lets himself collapse into a little bit more knee valgus, just like so. As you can see, the squat itself doesn't look bad by any means. But one thing we can look at is we start to see the body shift backwards in space a little bit. So if we get more and more and more knee valgus as we go through our squat, we're not necessarily going to do any sort of damage to our body, but it can start to throw around where our center of mass sits. So let's say we're getting close to 100% of our 1 rep max, we come down to the squat, we get a very big knee collapse that's very prominent. That might be enough to throw off our center of mass so we lose balance and we actually fail to lift. Even though that knee valgus is helping us stand up, sometimes it can occur too much. And it's very obvious to see that from the side view of a squat. So one of the options we have at still maintaining some form of internal rotation or adductor strength, but minimizing how much actual valgus we might have if you feel like it's too much, is really focusing on trying to push down through the ground. So if we watch Chris do a squat here, what we can see is he's going to try and put all of his center of mass into his toes. When we put our center of mass onto our toes, it's very easy for us to put more force down into the ground. So when we come out of that squat, we can really push down through our legs as opposed to pushing in through our knees. We can see the same thing if we look at Chris from the front position. So if he gets his center of mass onto his toes where he can push down, then he performs the squat. As he comes out of the squat, we might still see a little bit of knees coming in, but more of the force is directed down. And this just ensures that when he gets towards those top end ranges of his strength, he's going to be able to execute the bar straight down into the ground rather than his knees collapsing inwards too much. So one exercise we can use to start with a big rock at trying to make sure we have the strength or the movement capabilities to avoid excessive valgus is hip extension. So what we're going to use today with Chris is just a hip thrust, something everyone has access to, but we're going to be adding something like a ball squeeze or a yoga block squeeze or a foam roller squeeze between the thighs. So we can really try and stimulate a little bit more adductor magnus, which is our big prime mover in the bottom of the squat. So as Chris comes up into the movement, he's going to be trying to squeeze that block together with his thighs, squeezing his adductors, glutes, and then coming down as far as he can. We want to go into a big deep hip bend with these and a full squeeze at the top. And eventually when these start to get easy, you just start to add load with a barbell or a dumbbell or anything you can add to make them harder.
So once we've established a lot of hip extension with that adductor squeeze hip thrust, one thing that I like to progress to next is something that we're going to promote a little bit more tibial internal rotation. So that way we can actually transfer the force from the hips and the quads down to the foot and pushing up instead of creating that knee valgus. The exercise that we're going to get Tom to do here is essentially a cable-assisted step-up. The focus of this movement here is to work on pushing through this front leg here on the box, trying not to jump off the back leg that we typically see a lot of people do. What we'll see is Tom, when he's setting up, having the weight forward in the front leg, and as he stands up, he's pushing down hard through the forefoot, not letting the cable pull him forward, so that way he's got something to push against, trying to create full knee extension on that left leg. And as you should see here through the front of Tom's left leg, we're getting a little bit of tibial internal rotation as he's pushing down, which is helping him push down into the box rather than creating any knee valgus with that left leg. Implementing these accessories into your program can help you create more force going down rather than too much knee valgus, which should help your squat go up quite a lot. Give them a go. Nice.